What in your team currently, Shaun, is worrying you at the moment? Are there any players in there you're thinking, oh, this is becoming a problem?
I was looking at the myself of my 11. I've got Haaland, Watkins, Dunk, Salah, and Bowen. Yeah, they'll just stick. Johnston as well, like I just said, we'll keep him until potentially that point where we change it. The other five were the ones I've looked at and thought not necessarily issues, but they're the sort of make weights for any sort of moves going forward. I've got Silva and Diaz in defence. Diaz is decent enough, obviously, but he's expensive, and their fixtures coming up are, I know it's Man City, but they've got Chelsea, Liverpool, Tottenham, and we discussed beforehand. At the moment, Tottenham are the only team that haven't conceded a passing to yet in the whole season.
Remarkable, yeah.
Yeah, the most anyone's got is, I think we said it was one of the Burnley defenders, O'Shea. He's got like 49 passes. Um, so yeah, he'll still return, and Man City will probably keep clean sheets, but we know they've got a tendency to sort of concede one every game pretty much.
Yeah,
So
concentration is higher for games like this, though. It is worth saying.
yeah,
A lot of the goals they concede is when they get sloppy mentally, I think. Oh, we're
yeah,
3-0 up. The concentration will be higher in games like this.
yeah. Yeah. I just think as well. I think he's 9.7 or something like that, isn't he?
Yep.
I think he's, for me to do a few other moves, he's probably the make way, like to drop him down to like a Romero, save like 1.8 million, I think it is, and then obviously use that money to go elsewhere. The two Chelsea boys I've got Enzo and Silva. They're probably going to go either this weekend or next. Um, I'll probably use Enzo as like a Tottenham, either to Madison or Son, because I've got a couple of million in the bank as well at the moment. And then yeah, Silva next week will probably make way. I think who I was going to look at it might be like the sort of, if I go down the Trent route, I might try and figure it in that way. I've got Rice. He's solid enough. Just
Yeah.
yeah, ticks over. I am tempted to try and make him into Rodri at some point, but yeah, that's sort of it's an extra 1.2 million, so he might stay just because yeah, he does similar. And the other one we spoke about was I've got Foster up top from Burnley, who's obviously 6.6. Initially, I thought, oh, I need to get rid of him, Burnley striker. But I actually look at it, he got sent off. But other than that, he's returned in every game apart from the Man City game start of the season. And at 6.6, obviously Nakam was exactly the same price. So you could think easy switch to the two, but he scored more points than Nakamba this season. So with there being no pressing sort of third striker option I want at the moment, he will probably stay. And I think they play the early game quite a few weeks, and they play Saturday every week. So if there's any time I do want to come off of him, there's plenty of options to come off him, and they've got
And
decent games.
and also obviously to come back to the Fulham Wolves, if Wolves Burnley landed a single game day and you're just sitting there on it, then Wolves Fulham would become way more skippable for you, right? Well, I've got Foster in place for Wolves Burnley. I don't need to worry. And then you could come off Foster from there potentially. But yeah, I don't mind that actually. I think many of us at the moment will have Haaland and Watkins. If you look at the ownership, the two players in the top 1K, it's really high. Watkins, I think it's in the top 3 most owned now. I think in the top 1. I think it's the two of them and Salah, I think, are the 3 highest owned players as it stands currently. So unless you're like, there'll be a number of people got to say Alvarez. Alvarez is the only other forward that's kind of got really any ownership, and I've got all 3 of them at the moment. But for you with Foster, yeah, I don't think you'd be looking to, I need to get Alvarez now. You're not going to captain him. So it doesn't feel necessary. I'd be leaving that, I think, mate. I think that's cute. Their fixtures get a lot better over these next couple of months as well. So as long as he's fit, the problem with always having a cheap forward like that is you just got to be conscious of the exit.
Yeah.
But as you've got 3 up front, that's not so bad. What you got to be careful is you think in a few weeks, say Watkins got injured, and you think, all right, I'll get Watkins to Rodri or whatever, then you might need to be cautious that you're not, oh shit, I want to sell him, it's 5-4-1 or something like that. That's all. But I think while you've got the other 2 up front, which I presume, unless one of them got injured, there is no reason really to be removing either of them at the moment, then yeah, I think it's fine, to be honest, Shaun. I'd be keeping it. I'd rather I was sitting there at the moment with Foster than Bayer, and I'd probably rather it over Nakamba as well, to be totally honest.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I agree.
that's fine. And for those with the big Bayer problem, by the way, who do only have two up front, if news were to come through about Bayer being out for a while, then I don't think that's the worst move, is to even
No.
consider investing in Foster. You might find your setup better than that, because we've spoken about this before. The one thing we're saying to Canberra, who's doing great, he's cutting off potentially a midfield spot. And that's where we probably want most of our money at the moment. For me, Bayer is obviously a concern, but I'm not hugely worried about it if he's fit, because it's the value in there is enabling me enough. And I wouldn't think of moving him to Nakamba or moving him to Foster. I'm not going to with the front three. I've got Silva and Diaz for me as well, Shaun. I think both on the chopping block. I think Diaz will probably go for me on Monday, which we'll talk about in a bit. Silva is kind of my make way back to Lewis Dunk on Sunday week. Levi Colwell is the other one that's a potential problem for me. And I think he's also on the chopping block for me Monday night, because I may be going free Tottenham on Monday because, well, why not? There's plenty of reasons why not, by the way, but it's something I have spoken about, wanting more than one. I think if I go with three, I've got to be ahead, haven't I? And then make my choices longer term. Yeah, probably. One will get sent off, one will miss a penalty. It will be something like that, won't it? The rest I'm fairly happy with at the moment. Maddison could go for me, because I'm intending to sort of add Romero and Son to that. So I think part of that is then moving Maddison off after the Tottenham games. I just think Sonny, if he's fit, and he is at the moment, the limping many of you might have seen for South Korea was unrelated to the injury that he's currently carrying. So he's okay. If Sonny's fit, I just feel like there's enough options coming up. We are probably going to want a captain, a Tottenham players. You've got Fulham at home, Palace away, the Chelsea at home single game day. And I think now, although it's not a brilliant fixture either, I think Villa at home, probably yes again, Tottenham player, to be totally honest.